Hello and welcome to this edition of the show. Special guest this week, Kayla Lippert. Kayla?
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. Just want to give a little note before we get started is we won't have a show next week. I will be out of town. And then the next week is Mother's Day, which we hope you will spend with your mother, and we will be taking that off as well. But we'll be back in 2 weeks. But let's get back to the thing at hand. So, Kayla, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Pensacola, Florida. I grew up there for a little while. I lived on my grandparents' farm, actually, up until my mom got remarried and went up through Alabama, then lived here in Columbus, Georgia, up until I was in the 4th grade. From there, I went up to Atlanta. So cool. It's been a kind of a jumping around all over the place. And now I'm finally back here. Been back since 2014, and this is definitely home for sure.
Excuse me. Tell me a little bit about your farm life. That was kind of cool.
Farm life. Well, I was little though. I was just a kid. I was living with my grandparents at the time. But yeah, my grandfather was a farmer. They had livestock, and I think it was about 300 acres of land that they were farming on. But yeah, I used to follow him around in the fields, and I had a country accent at the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, you go. I grew up in Alabama, man. The farm was right there.
I had a Florida Gators cheerleading outfit, which I don't wear now because I'm not a Florida Gators fan. I'm a UGA fan all the way. But yeah, it's hard to remember that even happened though.
Right.
Farm life.
I too grew up on a farm, so
What?
yeah, I feel you.
I'm learning so much about you. You drink jugs of tea. Jugs of tea.
But not Lipton or Tetley. I drink like British blend stuff.
I think it's a problem. He used to go to Tea Anonymous.
It's a delicious problem.
Right?
So, in your moving around, what led you to do that?
Well, I mean, I had different. So I grew up with one family that was, my biological family. It was a complicated situation. Right. I actually had left that situation in high school, became homeless because of it. And that led to even more jumping around, just trying to figure out, how to make things happen for yourself. After I graduated high school, I did manage to graduate. That was a struggle, being homeless, working 2 jobs and trying to be academic and musically involved. I was in the high school band program there. But I ended up getting a music scholarship to the Schwab School of Music down here in Columbus. Yeah. So I went to school there. And it wasn't meant to work out. So from there, I had to figure out what I needed to do to make money and go to school and do something with my life. So I went to Athens and I ended up waiting tables and trying to go to classes, but the struggle was too real. So I joined the Army. I went to Texas. I was a combat medic.
Interesting.
Yeah, I fractured my hip, so that's not as fun.
I can imagine.
I know. Tim was like talking about his knee earlier. I'm like, look, man, that struggle was real. But yeah, I was med boarded out because I just could not keep up. It was too bad. Yeah. So, but everything worked out though. I mean, it sucked at the time. I was pretty bitter. But now, things happen for a reason. I went back to school after that. Realized that school was just never going to work out for me. I think because of certain life experiences, you just can't fit in with the norm sometimes. So even if you have the best intentions and you want to, get a degree and be on that track for success, and like you want to do something with your life, it's hard to fit in with people who don't have the same experience as you and do that. So anyway, I had that struggle. Still jumping around, trying to figure out how to make things work. Again, paying bills is always the priority. Yeah. But I eventually made it back to Columbus. I tried to make life work in Atlanta, found out that was not meant to be. I went on a month-long road trip, actually.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. I think I'd just gotten back whenever I first met you in Columbus. It's funny because I got so bitter in Atlanta. I'm like, look, hour and a half in traffic to get to work in the morning, it blows. Yeah. Don't recommend it for anybody. It's not that exciting. So not the life for me. And I just remember kind of waking up one day and going, there is more than this. Like, this sucks. So my friend, she just got through a divorce and she's like, I need to do something. You need to do something. Let's go somewhere. We're going to go on our road trip that we were planning on in the Army whenever we both got injured. So we're like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to plan a month and I'm going to take off work and I'm going to sublease my apartment out and we're going to go. So we packed up my car. We actually started in Destin, Florida. Celebrated my friend's 30th birthday. So it was a good way to start the trip off.
Oh, yeah.
I was on the beach and we partied it up and it was great. From there, we went to Missouri. We visited my friend's family up there. From there, we went to Chicago. We stopped in St. Louis, went to Chicago. So we had my best friend, Lena, up there. We drove across Iowa. We camped in the Badlands National Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Slept with the bison out there. I taunted a rattlesnake because it wouldn't rattle its rattle and I was mad. I was like, do your job, rattlesnake. Like, what are you doing? But no, it's so cool. So we got to see all of these, animals out there. We saw the mountain goats climbing the cliffs out there. So I have videos of that. It was pretty cool. After that, we went to the Rocky Mountains. We tried to camp out there, but it was really expensive to camp in the Rocky Mountains. We're like, we don't get showers, we don't get breakfast, we don't get Wi-Fi. We're not going to spend money to camp here. So we regrouped. We went South Colorado near a dispensary. So I dyed my hair purple. Let's go ahead and mention that now. I dyed my hair purple in Colorado. We had tickets to be on the game show Let's Make a Deal.
Really?
Yes. So funny story. My friend had gotten us tickets to be on the game show Let's Make a Deal. I didn't know what the show was. I hadn't really watched it, but I was like, all right, TV time and chance to make money, and I get to dye my hair purple. It's like an excuse to do that since I'm not working that month. So I was like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It was my two friends and me in the middle, and I dyed my hair purple, and we were going to plan out the outfit to be peanut butter and jelly sandwich on Let's Make a Deal. Well, fast forward till after Colorado, we found out that we weren't, my friend actually, who got the tickets, she ran out of money. She's like, look, guys, we can't make it to LA to be on the show. I'm like, I dyed my hair purple for this. But it worked out anyway. We ended up going to Las Vegas instead. This was after we went to Utah and Yellowstone. We're like, we can't go to California as planned, so let's go to Las Vegas and order pizza and shower because we had not showered for days. And we just drove back home 28 hours straight to Columbus after that. So yeah.
So what was your favorite part of that trip? Because I hear a lot of things on that trip that are my favorite part.
It's a lot.
But like I've been to Vegas. I love Vegas. I thought it was cool.
Vegas is fun if you have money.
Well, that's true. That's true. Actually, what I had fun with was just walking up and down the strip videoing it.
Oh yeah, you see a lot there for sure. For me, I mean, I did have fun dyeing my hair purple just to say that I did it. I mean, putting that on Facebook and having my mom go, oh my God, what did you do? But let's see. I mean, Yellowstone was great. That was a really kind of a healing experience in a way because you're just away from everything. You do not have connection to internet, cell phone service. You are out, and we were camping in the middle of nowhere. We had to hike, I think it was like 3 miles to our campsite, and we were afraid of bears. I was more afraid of people. Like if we're murdered out here, no one's going to know. Right. You were roughing it. So that was really cool experience. But the Grand Canyon is probably my favorite. The Grand Canyon, I didn't get to hike or camp in it like I wanted to. That's going to be another trip here soon, eventually. But the Grand Canyon was the most amazing thing you could possibly see. Have you been there? I have not. That is on my bucket list. You need to go for sure. Yeah. I recommend it to everyone. I've been to the Hoover Dam and the Valley of Fire. Both Hoover Dam was cool too. Yeah.
So I'm looking right. I guess Kayla is the proof of she is actually an attractive, demure, business-like young lady, but she proves the adage, never judge a book by its cover.
I'm proving something. Thank you so much.
She's like, has this whole backstory that you will never guess.
Yeah, like she's done, I hate to say it, she's done more at her age than I have at my age, which is my hat's off to you because that's awesome. Thank you. You just ran a half marathon though. That's all I say that's on my list, but I'm probably never going to do that. There are other things that probably should be on your list. That sounds awful. I don't want to run half a marathon, but congrats to you. Tim's going to bring up a commercial as we wrap up this segment. We'll be back after this commercial for some more current stuff.
Timeless beauty at the Gypsy Cherub, 3760 Woodruff Road, Columbus, Georgia. Class is back in style.
Hello and welcome back to the show with special guest Kayla Lippert. So Kayla, when you've done some really cool stuff, I am actually that could be a cool adventure movie just all by itself.
Let's make it.
It's called jealousy.
So jealous. Now, when you came back to Columbus after that long drive straight back to Columbus,
Yeah, 28 hours.
yeah, you when I met you was at Fountain City Coffee Shop and you were into nursing.
Yeah.
You have done you're in a different field now. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, after jumping around so much, I wanted something that was stable. My family especially was pushing for something stable. And to that degree, you know, that means having a decent income, doing something that you can do wherever you want to go, you know? So nursing is kind of a no-brainer for that. And I had a medical background since I was a combat medic in the Army. I already had my certification. So I'm like, well, let's just go for it. You know, it wasn't really my passion, but it was kind of that giving up moment where you're like, I have to, you know, I'm at this age, I've been through so much of my life so far. I kind of owe it to myself to have some kind of stability. So, you know, and in my head, I was like, well, whatever creative thing I want to do, I could have on the side, and, you know, have my career and then pursue everything else on the side. Prior to that, I wanted to do things in marketing or journalism. There was one point where I majored in those things, but school in general just wasn't the outlet for me. It was pretty difficult for me to stay there and stay motivated.
Especially with like a classroom is teaching you how to do stuff, and the topics that they use frequently are not the topics that
applicable even. I remember I did go back to nursing school because again, I was like, I want to try, trying so hard. The struggle's so real. I was working in nursing too. So, I mean, working and then having my college degree was kind of the plan. But I remember working in the field and then taking the classes and realizing nothing I'm learning is applied to anything I'm doing right now. Like, talk about adding to my current frustration already. And then the kids I was next to in class, they they don't know what it means to work for themselves. They don't know what it means to have bills to pay for. They're just there to get the money and then party. And I'm like, I can't handle it. It's not for me. Not for me at all.
I'm nodding my head over here, by the way.
All right, cool. I mean, I wish I had a GoPro to behind the scenes.
You know, oh, that's right. I have a GoPro here. We're getting some behind the scenes.
Tried to pull it out, but
I forgot I'm barred.
I told him I'd kill him if he pointed that out.
I would protect you.
So how did you get from nursing to where you are now?
Well, I got demotivated in the nursing. I never really wanted to do it in the first place. So it was easy to give up that hope. But specifically the job that I had, it just was not meant for anybody to really work out in, to be completely frank with you on that.
There are jobs like that.
Yeah, there are jobs like that. Unfortunately, for some people, they choose to stay in it. For me, I got to go. So woohoo. But no, I seized the opportunity to pursue what I really wanted to do. The difficulty was trying to name places where I could apply for a job and do what I was interested in, because I didn't have that education background. I didn't have that work experience. I did have creative projects that I've done and I have published work and things like that, but that's not enough for most employers to hire you. So I had to really prove myself. So what I did have, instead of the work experience or the education, I instead use my life experiences to say, hey, this is what I got. These are the values that I have. This is what you'll get out of me as an employee. And I had to really market myself to them and say, look, I'm going to work here. Like, what they didn't know is I got a job at the Ledger Enquirer, by the way. So for me to go from, not having a degree, not having any experience in marketing or journalism, to saying, hey, I'm going to work here.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big deal for me, especially knowing that most of the people who work there or have been hired by them have extensive experience and extensive knowledge background. So I really had to kick some ass there. So what I did was I called the guy up. backstory. I completely redesigned a resume that was very graphic, very different than what normal resumes look like. Very bizarre looking almost, but still it looked great.
Eye catchy.
Exactly, eye catchy. And it had some Easter eggs in it. So like reading it, you're going to be like, what the heck is she taught? Like, really? Like, what do you mean? I put that I was Times Person of the Year in 2006. By the way, everyone was Times Person of the Year in 2006 because it says everybody, like you are time, like it said so on the cover. And so they thought it was quirky. I got an interview out of it. So I was like, sweet. At least I got in the door, you know? So from there,
that's brilliant.
Thank you. I had to seriously brainstorm this because I was like, I don't know how else to convince them that I deserve to work here. I know what I don't have, but here's what I do have. So, but yeah, there's more to it than that. I saw a need for them to connect with a certain app company that was starting up here in town. I was like, well, maybe the two of them could partner up somehow. So I actually reached out to the person at the app company saying, hey, have you thought of this connection? And he's like, yeah, actually, and I haven't been able to get anything started with the Ledger. Here's who you need to call. I'm like, sweet guy, thanks for giving me the name and the phone number. So awesome. I called up my now boss. I was like, hey, you don't know me, but here's my idea for you. I just spoke with so-and-so over at the app company. This is what I think should go down. By the way, you have my resume. Call me. And he called me back and he's like, when are you free for an interview? Today, tomorrow? Like, come on by. I was like, I will see you soon.
I really like that. I tell you what, I'm going to say it again. If you haven't read him, one of my favorite authors, Seth Godin, read him.
Yes.
She reminds me of Seth Godin so much.
You're doing like some Godin. Burn Notice. Michael, I forget his name on there, but
I know you're talking about
a TV show, Burn Notice. Yeah.
I actually want to email Seth Godin. I have a list of people I want to email. He's on the list for sure, along with Dirty Jobs guy. What's his name? Mike Rowe.
Oh yeah.
I have I'm going to just keep talking. I had before the road trip that I went on, we had talked about people we wanted to meet on the road trip. And I was like, okay, if I could meet anybody, I want to meet Mike Rowe. I want to meet him for coffee. I'll buy him a beer. We're just going to chat because he has a cool story and he's done a lot since his experience on the show. Yeah. So I drafted an email. I almost sent it to him and I just chickened out. I was like, no, I can't email Mike Rowe. This is stupid. He's not going to respond. It's ridiculous. Well, in the email, I had certain dates that I was going to reach out to see if I could meet him at because he lives in San Francisco. We were going to be in California at some point. Get this. So I should have emailed him because it turns out that the time period that I was wanting to meet him, he was here in Columbus, Georgia at Fountain City Coffee meeting my friends. And I saw it on Facebook.
And my brother.
And shut up. I am so mad. I was so mad. So now I have at least a story to reach out to him and be like, hey man, we almost met, but here's what happened. And so let's re-strategize this. But I was mad. I felt mocked.
Yeah. So Mike, if you're out there and you happen to be watching,
you need to contact and I will
Kayla.
Meet you.
Yeah. And that's an important thing. I was talking to Sam Beeman one time about, because he had Kirk Cameron on his show Light Talk.
Oh man!
And it's like I was asking, how'd you get? Because Kirk Cameron's a pretty big name guy, and he's like, I just don't quit. I just kept pushing until I got it. So like, where you didn't send the email when you should have sent the email.
Seriously.
This kind of goes into a lot of this subject is if you think you can't do something, do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I think about time for another commercial, is it, Tim?
Yeah, that's about that time.
Yeah, we're going to go into that and come in back with some more Kayla Lippert.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Catherine Childry with Let's Vocalize. For over 35 years, I've coached vocalists and groups privately. I also perform vocal workshops training choirs. I'd love the opportunity to show you how direction, discipline, vocal health care, and regular practice can drastically improve you, your group, or your choir's performance. Call me at 706-536-6123 or visit us online at www.letsvocalize.com. I'd love to help you offer your best gift.
Hello and welcome back to The Show with your host, Brian Mallard, and our special guest, Kayla Lippert.
Hello.
So we got some really interesting, cool stuff. Tell me a little bit about what you've did somersaults to get where you are.
Literally.
You did like spy stuff. It was awesome.
Spy stuff. I did my.
This
my
doesn't look that big up
investigation
here. I
research.
want to see her do somersaults. That's,
Next up, the stunt show. No, so this job that you worked so hard to get, which great story.
Thank
Tell me what you do and
Well, so I'm working the advertising team over there. Historically, the job is to put advertisement in the newspaper. That's kind of the history of how newspapers worked and made revenue.
right.
The cool thing is that in order to stay relevant and existing is newspapers have had to adapt and evolve over
Right.
time. So what we're doing now is we're becoming a full almost advertising agency. Like we are more devoted to, rather than making revenue from the newspaper, it's more about helping businesses grow.
Mhm.
So my conversations and my day-to-day operations is I go and talk to business owners about, how's your business doing? Like, what are you planning right now? What's working for you? What's not? What are your upcoming plans? How can we strategize to help you meet your goals?
Right.
So it's an entirely different conversation. Whereas before it's like, you want to put an ad in the newspaper? I love that that's not my job. But no, we've really expanded, and people don't realize what all the Ledger does in order to help the community. It really is. We have the Ledger Inquirer newspaper. We have the Bayonet and Saber for the military news. We have the Big To Do, Her magazine. We have events. We have the Home and Garden Show, 2 annual bridal expos. We have upcoming events later on in the year that are going to be new. We have the zombie survival run that I don't think people realize was us, but hey, we did that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and we do so much, and I just want to give a shout out that that is us. We do that, and the company, not all me, but the company. But we really, it's with people in mind and with Columbus in mind for sure.
That's cool. And like, I didn't know that, I knew that they had moved to that other building.
Yeah, we changed locations.
And that they were going more electronic than physical paper.
We have a full digital agency. We have more digital services and products than anyone else in the region. People
Wow.
don't know that, but hey, I'm telling you, we can, build websites, produce videos. We can do geofencing. We can do retargeting. I can't tell you what all we can do because I don't want people to compete with us, but we do more than anyone else.
That's
so
cool.
It's really cool. I love my job. It is hella cool.
you know what, Brian? I'm going to break in here too. I actually met Kata through. We had Christian Ortiz, who is doing our City of Fountains.
Yeah.
And I actually read about Kayla on there, and she has such an interesting story. And one of the things is she actually does a blog. So if you guys are watching this and you're wondering, hey, how can I do what Kayla did? One of the ways is to read her blog. Another one would be to replay this over and over and over.
And also, I'm actually going to be sending articles out to Fast Company and Inc. So I will be publishing that on a larger scale as well. I'm re-strategizing how the ad copy that I wrote for the articles I have on my blog are more for Pinterest worthy sharing. So it's
Right.
that kind of language, and it's worked for that, but I'm trying to expand the idea of how to market yourself for jobs. I think it's something that's relevant today for people who are struggling to find careers that are worth having. People really don't find the value in college education anymore. They will go to college and they will end up being disappointed and in debt and bitter.
Yeah.
Or you just don't want to go to college at all. You just don't find what you're looking for in it. Maybe you don't find anything relevant to what you're wanting to do. And it's been a struggle. I think that how we approach success today needs to change. I think we just need to change game plans overall.
I read a lot of articles like GQ magazine.
Me too. Yep.
Things like that. And they're always
Esquire.
talking about how, like the modern business world. And, I've worked in some places, I've had jobs that you read, some of these magazines, some of these
Mhm.
articles, and you're like, where's this?
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, like-
Esquire does the best job. I mean, that's my favorite magazine, hands down. They are the bee's knees of everything. Ross McCammon there, he's the kind of the job guru for Esquire. I don't know if you've ever read his stuff, but he also has a book out on, how to do better at work and how to rethink your job. So he's had a heavy influence on what I do. But no, you read stuff like that and you're immediately inspired. You're like, what the hell? What am I doing? What am I doing in my life right now?
Exactly. And I encourage this because there's so much information, because there's a lot of people out there unhappy in their jobs.
Mhm.
And it's not a how-to, but it gives you insight, gives you clicks things on in your mind that you wouldn't think about. So
Right. I want to give how-tos for how to re-strategize how you're approaching jobs and how you're approaching job applications, how you approach interviews and how you get the job, but also how you think about your career.
Right,
I jumped around. I had my hands in different experiences. I was a nanny too at some point.
Wow.
So talk about diverse background.
Yeah, quite.
But I mean, it worked to my advantage. That way I know people better. I'm better at my job because of it. So it all works out. But on paper, to most people, that doesn't look good. But I can tell you how it does work. And so teaching people how to market them in that way, market themselves in that way it's important in today's economy for sure.
And that could be a very valuable career for you, but also very valuable for anybody that's interested in getting with you on that. Let's get into where people can find you. Like I like to put everything
Great
into a box. It's
question.
a nice little organized folder.
I like it. I'm actually re-strategizing my online space right now. So I've had multiple blogs over the years. I had one that was pretty popular years ago. It was, don't make fun of the name. I was like a teenager, but it was called Fierce Little Me. And I actually had a post that went kind of viral. I don't know how much time we have, so I'm not going to go over your time. But anyway, I had a post that kind of went viral. It was a commentary on this Matt Forney article. I don't know if you've ever heard of the guy. Don't look him up because he's profiting off of pissing people off.
Oh.
So, and I was the only person to notice, like, okay, these people are all mad at this guy for writing this article, but they keep sharing the article on their Facebook. They keep commenting and liking and saying, oh my God, I'm so mad. Read this, you guys. But the guy's making money off of you. He's benefiting from your attention. And I was the first person to write an article that says, look, guys, don't do this. And it was a response to him too, because it was a pretty disgusting article, but it went kind of viral. And then anyway, but I don't write like that anymore because it would have gotten me in trouble and probably would have prevented me from working where I work today. But I currently have a blog, Life Op-Ed. It's like a opinion editorial for all things, life, work, love, relationships. But I'm making the transition from blogging to having a website where my published articles are easily found on. So I am where I have articles that I've written on my blog, I am now going to be sending them out to different publications for publish.
Very
so I'm
cool.
polishing it up. I'm going to be sending it to Fast Company, Huffington Post, Inc., different outlets for sure that I look up to and want to be part of. So
very cool.
But I'll have my blog. It'll be KaylaLippert.com, my website.
And they can, of course, find you on Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook. Yeah, or Instagram.
And you can also find those on the show Columbus.
Ooh.
Quite right.
I'm selfless.
Hey, shameless.
I'm sorry, guys.
Self-promotion.
I'd actually like to say something about shameless self-promotion because
do it.
You have to shamelessly self-promote when you're, if you're not pulling name out of the air, Britney Spears. Because let me tell you, the people who promote for her shamelessly promote her.
Exactly.
Or any celebrity. But if you are on, a more realistic day-to-day level trying to reach something, you don't have those people doing that. So you have to shamelessly self-promote. So what looks like somebody being narcissistic is really just the advertising that somebody else would be doing for them if they were famous.
You have to promote yourself.
You do.
In order to be seen and have your ideas spread, that's what you have to do. Definitely, especially in today's age with so many social media outlets.
Yeah.
You have to. Everyone has something cool, and you can't have people find you unless you are promoting it.
Exactly.
So I agree.
One last thing I'd like to get from you, Kayla, is what advice you would give to aspiring anything.
Ooh, that's a big question to end this with. What are you doing? Advice. Don't settle. And then that's so cliche, but if I had stayed in nursing, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. So thank goodness I didn't settle for that, for sure. And don't be afraid to speak your mind.
Good advice. I can go along with both of those. Well, Kayla, I greatly appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Great interview. And thanks, Tim, for do a shout out for Tim for
Thanks,
setting all this
Tim.
stuff up and running it every week.
There you go. And
And-
I'll tell you what, I'm going to break in Brian right here. And since we're not going to be on the next 2 weeks, and one is because we are actually bringing up our own website where you guys can go, and then it is the show-columbus.com. Actually, one word though, the show-columbus.com. But you won't have to actually go and find this link every week. You can actually go to one place.
We're fixing that.
Yay.
And we're going to take a week off to work on that. And of course, the next weekend, as Brian mentioned before, is Mother's Day. So I'm going to take a minute and go, hi, Mom, I love you. And I am coming to see you. So
Hi, Mom.
we're going to go around. You want to say anything to your mom?
Hi, Mom. I will see you soon.
Hi, Mom. I love you. I saw you yesterday.
There you go. We're milking this show for everything we got. Hey, and listen, before we go, we actually have been going through this month highlighting the business sector of Columbus. And we did a show last week where we actually discussed how you can use what you have to make art. We thought Kayla would fit right in because she's actually a very real live example of that. But we were talking before, and I had told Kayla that, of course, you guys saw that one of my favorite authors is Seth Godin. I want him to actually leave with this quote that he did. I did it last week. I want to do it again. You have everything that you need to build something far bigger than yourself. Just remember that you have it inside of you. So
Love it.
use it. Brian, anything else?
I think that's about it. Until next time, see you later. And I'm Brian Mallard for the show.